Alright, so today we're going to be continuing our series on Seneca's Letters to Lucilius. I am on letter 20. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out the playlist here, and you can start at letter 1. These are Seneca's letters, really good Stoic philosophy. Make sure you click the subscribe button below and click the bell so you don't miss any of these videos coming out in the future, because I'm going through all the letters. It's going to take a while, but this is going to be a pretty long series, but there's a lot here to digest. So this is number 20 on practicing what you preach. And it starts off, if you're in good health, and if you think yourself worthy of becoming at last your own master, I am glad, for the credit will be mine, if I can drag you from the floods in which you are being buffeted without hope of emerging. This, however, my dear Lucilius, I ask and beg of you on your part, that you let wisdom sink into your soul and test your progress, not by mere speech or writings, but by the stoutness of heart and decrease of desire. Prove your words by your deeds. I think it's great that you're going to become your own master, okay? And if you think you're worthy of doing it, but here's the test. It's not what you write down, it's not what you say, it's really this big thing here, which is the stoutness of heart and decrease of desire. So basically, he's saying, like, look, here's the thing. To be a Stoic, to be a Stoic philosopher, to really see your advancement down this path of personal development, of character development, what we want to see is a lack of desire, a decrease in desire, right? A non-attachment, if you will, from the Buddhist philosophy or the Eastern philosophy, that kind of idea of not being attached. We've talked about this a lot in the letters, right? This is one of the things that Seneca talks about a lot, is basically to become wealthy is not to have more, but to want less. So number 2, far different is the purpose of those who are speech-making and trying to win the approbation of a throng of hearers, far different that of those who allure the ears of young men and idlers by many-sided or fluent argumentation. Okay? Philosophy teaches us to act, not to speak. It exacts of every man that he should live according to his own standards, that his life should not be out of harmony with his words, and that further, his inner life should be one of hue and not of harmony with all his activities. This, I say, is the highest duty and the highest proof of wisdom, that deed and word should be in accord, that a man should be equal to himself under all conditions, and always the same. He's saying there's a lot of people that talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk, okay? And he's saying that the point of philosophy, or a philosopher or a wise man, is not to just like speak things, but to actually do them, okay? And that they should be integrated so that what you say and what you do goes with each other, and really that the standards that you're judged by should be your own standards, okay? And so it's about being consistent with yourself. If you say this thing, are you doing this thing, okay, versus are you just speaking? And there's a lot of people that are just speaking in order to get the approbation of other people, in order to get approval, in order to get other people's praise. But you reply, who can maintain the standard? Very few, to be sure, but there are some. It is indeed a hard undertaking, and I do not say that the philosopher can always keep the same pace, but he can always travel the same path. You're not always going to be, just driving towards the finish line really hard. There's going to be times where you're going to screw up, you're going to fuck up from time to time, but here's the thing, is like you may not be able to keep that pace, but you can stay on the path, right? And that's the key thing, right? And this is one of the key things just for success in life, is to remember that you don't have to be running at the fastest clip that you can, right? Some days you are not going to be just motivated, you're not going to be driven, right? Energy levels go and they come, and you just can't hit it hard all the time. But what you can do all the time is be on the right path. And if you're going the right direction, even if you're going slow, you're going to get there. The problem, the reason why people screw up, the reason why we fail and we don't reach our success in life is because we go down a different path. We go backwards down the path. Number 3, observe yourself then and see whether your dress and your house are inconsistent, whether you treat yourself lavishly and your family meanly, whether you eat frugal dinners and yet build luxurious houses. You should lay hold, once for all, upon a single norm to live by, and should regulate your whole life according to this norm. Some men restrict themselves at home, but strut with swelling port before the public. Such discordance is a fault, and it indicates a wavering mind which cannot yet keep its balance. Number 4, And I can tell you further whence arise this unsteadiness and disagreement of action and purpose. It is because no man resolves upon what he wishes, and even if he has done so, he does not persist in it, but jumps the track. Not only does he change, but he returns and slips back to the conduct which he has abandoned and abjured. Every single person, right? We say we want to do this thing, we have our high mind in order to accomplish these great goals, or to set out on this path. But we jump track. We screw up. We go off the track. We don't do what we want to do, right? We say we're going to get up in the morning and we're going to go for a run, or we're going to go to the gym, or we're going to meditate, or we're going to get this work done, or whatever it is. We don't actually do it. We say we're going to stop doing something. We do the thing we say we're going to stop. One of the best things about changing behavior is just awareness, right? The power of meditation, the power of present moment awareness is awareness. When you're aware of things, okay, then you can change them. Most of us live without being aware, right? We're just going through the motions, but when we become aware of these things, that's where the real change occurs. Number 4, and I can tell you further whence arise this unsteadiness and disagreement of action and purpose. It is because no man resolves upon what he wishes, even if he has done so, he does not persist. Just as a second reminder, we've already gone through that, okay? Number 5, therefore to admit the ancient definitions of wisdom and to include the whole manner of human life, I can be satisfied with the following. What is wisdom? Always desiring the same things and always refusing the same things. You may be excused from adding the little proviso that what you wish should be right, since no man can always be satisfied with the same thing unless it is right. It's having a solid mind. It's having that connected mind. Remember, we said before that he was talking against this idea of discordance, of doing one thing here and doing one thing here, of wanting one thing here and wanting one thing here. And he's saying that, a wise person, like wisdom, is truly like having a principle, right? And if you think about this, like the wiser you are, the more principle you're driven you are, and you don't change. Like you know what you want, you know what is good, and you go after that, and you know what to avoid, and you continue to do that, and you live your life that way. You're not just sporadically going here and here like a fool, right? Number 6. For this reason, men do not know what they wish except at the actual moment of wishing. No man ever decided once and for all to desire or to refuse. Judgment varies from day to day and changes to the opposite, making many a man pass his life in a kind of game. Press on, therefore, as you have begun. Perhaps you will be led to perfection, or to a point which you alone understand is still short of perfection. Number 7. But what, you say, will become of my crowded household without a household income? If you stop supporting that crowd, it will support itself. Or perhaps you will learn by the bounty of poverty that you cannot learn by your own bounty. Poverty will keep you your true and tried friends, and you will be rid of men who were not seeking you for yourself, but for something which you have. It is not true, however, that you should love poverty, if only for this single reason, that it will show you those by whom you are loved. So, he's asking the question, is it not true that you should love poverty if only for this single reason, that it will show you by those whom you're loved? So he's saying here that, basically to the question of, well, what happens if I give up my income? Because remember in the previous letters, he's talking about retiring and, really trying to influence Lucilius to basically retire and become a philosopher full time. And he's saying, well, what's going to happen to my household, my money? And what he's saying is that, one of the good things about poverty is you figure out who your true friends are, who actually likes you for you versus who likes you for what you can give them. And so, that's a blessing. So maybe it's good to be poor in that case, because you can find that thing out. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be poor. It doesn't, he's not necessarily saying that he wants you to be poor, but he's just saying that, like, look, if there's a good side to it, here's one good side to it. Here's one thing that you will learn from it. Number 8. Accordingly, let your thoughts, your efforts, your desires help to make you content with your own self and with the goods that spring from yourself. And commit all your other prayers to God's keeping. What happiness could come closer closer home to you? Bring yourself down to humble conditions from which you cannot be ejected, and in order that you may do so with greater alacrity. The contribution contained in this letter shall refer to that subject. I shall bestow it upon you forthwith. It's how you hold on to it, and it's how you value it. And if you're basically like not seeking after these things, like if this is not what you're building your life around, but you're building your life around the solid principles that we talked about your own being able to entertain and be happy within yourself, right? That this is what we call your self-reliance. Okay, then nothing is going to come along that's going to fuck you up, right? Because you can't be ejected from that, right? Because no one can take you out of your humble abode, which is yourself, right? You're content within yourself. Although you may look askance, Epicurious will once again be glad to settle my indebtedness. Believe me, your words will be more imposing if you sleep on the cot and wear rags, for in that case you will not be merely saying them, you will be demonstrating their truth. And that's the quote, okay? I, at any rate, listen in a different spirit to the utterances of our friend Demetrius, after I have seen him reclining without even a cloak to cover him, and more than this, without rugs to lie upon. He is not only a teacher of the truth, but a witness to the truth. There's a lot of people, I think, definitely on YouTube that I see. There's a lot of fitness people, for example, and whatnot, that have fitness channels, and you don't see it. You hear them talking about it, but you don't see it. Or you don't see the work ethic that they're preaching. You don't see them actually going out there and doing the things that they say. I mean, it's just in life, in general. And so it's better to just be a doer, and then people will see by example, versus you talk, right? 10. May not a man, however, despise wealth when it lies in his very pocket. Of course, he is also great-souled who sees riches heaped up round him, and after wondering long and deeply because they have come into his possession, smiles and hears rather than feels that they are his. Hears rather than feels they are his. It means much not to be spoiled by intimacy with riches, and he is truly great who is poor amidst riches. Okay, so let's dissect this a little bit here. Okay, so the quote was, may not a man, however, despise wealth when it lies in his very pocket. Okay, so this is a question, right? So what does it mean to despise something? It essentially means that you don't care about it, right? It's like, if you despise death, you don't care about death, fuck it, I don't care, not a big deal, right? It's like to show contempt for something. So it's basically asking the question, is it possible for a man that has a lot of money to despise it, to not care about it, right? And of course, he says, so he says it is a great soul who sees riches heaped up around him, and after wondering long and deeply, because they have come into his possession, smiles and hears rather than feels that they are his. So hearing rather than feeling that they are his. What he's saying here is that to be truly great is to have the access, to have the ability, to have the power, to have the riches, right? And you can define this in many different ways. But to have the resources, but not be attached to them and not feel like you have to utilize them, or you're not trying to grab it and smother it and hold on to it, and you're just going to be at peace, right? Because whatever happens, you're going to be okay and you're going to be fine, and you're confident within yourself. And that's the thing to develop. That's the thing. It's like more and more is not going to make you happy, and it's not going to make you want less. Like, you have to develop that within you, and then you'll be able to be the rich man that despises wealth, essentially. Number 11. Yes, I do. Or yes, but I do not know, you say, how the man you speak of will endure poverty if he falls into it suddenly. Nor do I, Epicurious, know whether the poor man you speak of will despise riches should he suddenly fall into them. We just talked about both of those, right? Accordingly, in the case of both, it is the mind that must be appraised, and we must investigate whether your man is pleased with his poverty and whether my man is displeased with his riches. Otherwise, the cot bed and the rags are slight proof of his good intentions, if it has not been made clear that the person concerned endures these trials not from necessity, but from preference. All right, we're almost done here. 12, it is the mark, however, of a noble spirit not to precipitate oneself into such things on the ground that they are better, but to practice for them on the ground that they are thus easy to endure. And they are easy to endure, Lucilius, when however you come to them after long rehearsal, they are even pleasant, for they contain a sense of freedom from care, and without this, nothing is pleasant. So he's basically saying exactly what I just said, which is this, is that when you bring the hard trials upon yourself, when they actually come in life, to some degree, you welcome them. You're like, I've already trained for this. This is easy. This is not a problem, right? If I had to run a half marathon and I had not trained for it, it would be a pain. It would be really fucking painful. But if I started running like 20 miles, doing 20-mile runs, now you tell me I have to run 13.1, no big deal. It'll even be fun to challenge myself in that way, right? Life is the same way. How much of life, like, this shit is coming, so why are you not training for it? Why are you not building yourself up for it? Why are you not becoming emotionally resilient, right? Your heart's going to get broken, become emotionally resilient. It doesn't mean become stone cold, but what I'm saying is like, build up a little bit of character, like build up some non-attachment, build up some ability to not be non-reactive, right? All that, this shit is coming, but you're not preparing for it. If you prepare for it and you train for it, when it comes, it'll be actually a fun test. Number 13. I hold it essential, therefore, to do as I have told you in a letter that great men have often done, to reserve a few days in which we may prepare ourselves for real poverty by means of fancied poverty. There is all the more reason for doing this because we have been steeped in luxury and regard all duties as hard and onerous. Rather let the soul be roused from its sleep and be prodded, and let it be reminded that nature has prescribed very little for us. No man is born rich. Every man, when he first sees light, is commanded to be content with milk and rags. Such is our beginning, and yet kingdoms are all too small for us. Farewell. You should practice poverty. You should practice going without. You should bring hardship upon yourself. And if anything, if only just for a reminder that when you're born into this world, the only thing that you as a human by nature really need is like milk and shelter. Like, you know what I mean? Like a place to sleep and some food to eat. Like the bare necessities are very little. And yet, we have those and we have so much more. And he's saying that you're not even happy with the whole fucking kingdom. This is your problem, is that you're not content. You don't have gratitude for, you only need this. And once you realize that you can subsist and live and you don't need all this other shit, you'll be happy, you'll be content when you have all this stuff. We live in these luxury environments and we become reliant on them. And then when the shit is taken away from us, when our iPhone breaks, we cry. We're so sad. We're so devastated. Like, how am I going to live? Right? Our car breaks down. Like, we can't deal with shit because now we have to work. Now it's hard, right? And it's not even hard. So that's the thing, is that's why you bring this shit upon yourself. And that's why you put yourself through hard shit, is to get that realization, so that when the stuff happens, you realize that everything was gravy, right? Everything is gravy in life, except for those bare necessities, and there's not much of them. So that's all I have for you today. If you have not subscribed, if you want to continue watching the series, make sure you click the subscribe button down below, and we will continue next time with letter 21. All right, talk to you later.